Hope this works. Let's see. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for watching A Touch of Tarot. I'm on a different device right now, and I'm a little nervous because it's me. So I'm just trying to see how this will work. I did announce today that I would be doing something different on the channel, and this is what it is. I'm going to start. Hi, how are you? Going to start doing my videos showing my face, which is a really big deal for me. Hi, everyone. And the funny thing is, I announced it today that I'd be doing something around 2. I didn't realize it would be 2 a.m. Hi, Xena. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being on here with me. I'm a little nervous. This is new to me to come on here and, bear it all. I was always waiting for a certain amount of viewers because I always felt I had to have a certain amount to come on here and show my face. And Netherlands, 8 o'clock, right? Awesome. But I got guided. I had this huge conversation with my guides, and they were like, you can't, first of all, there's no point, and you don't wait for things to happen at some perfect time. And I don't know what I was really hiding from. I mean, I guess it's just time. Like, everyone can know now. I don't tell people I have a YouTube channel. I don't talk about my abilities. I just do them, and it's not my abilities. It's what's given to me. Hi, Mary. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, it's time for all of this to just happen, and it feels okay now. And I'm happy I'm starting at 2 in the morning, so I can ease my way into this a bit. And I thought I'd share a little bit about myself with you guys, like about my angel experiences and the fact that my whole life I've had this ability. I've had so much go on my whole life, but I've had this ability to talk to people. And hi, Claudia. And, first of all, I need to make a public apology to Anna. This is, she knows who she is. And I messed up some readings earlier with 2 different Annas. And I thought Anna got a reading that wasn't for her, and she didn't mention it to me. But she actually had ordered a reading and thought it was for her. And apparently it was for her. So now I'm going to redo the other Anna's reading. But yeah, I want to say publicly, I'm sorry, though I've apologized to her. But this morning I was like, Anna, no, I'm not doing a free card for you. Like, you got a free reading. But yeah, so I wanted to just talk about, the fact that my whole life I've had this ability to touch people, though I didn't know it. And maybe some of you have something going on in your life too, and you can get in contact with your angels as well. The first time, I don't know where to look, to be honest. So I'm a little confused here. So if I'm looking all over the place, I'm just learning this, right? The first time I talked to my angels was on Mother's Day a few years ago, less than 5 years ago. And it was during a time I was going through the dark night of the soul, for sure. And the interesting thing was that I started crying because they told me they were always there. And I had always, like, they didn't say you ignored me, but I realized, oh my gosh, like this, I felt so bad. I'm like, this whole time you were right here with me and I was ignoring you. And I asked them, like, you don't even have to ask them. It's like when you think it, they answer smoothly, very smoothly. And it's just a knowing. And I remember I wanted to know, what am I? Like, am I an angel? And they said I'm an earth angel, but they also said I came from a wizard. So the interesting thing is that around that same time, my mother, very special woman, she goes through ups and downs in life. She's had a very rough life. And her father was a Ku Klux Klan member. And he was actually the head in the city we grew up in. And I don't know anything about it. I didn't know that until just a few years ago when my aunt told me you're a very special person. And my aunt's actually not nice like that. And I recently found out that she's racist herself. But a few years ago, she said to me, you're a very special person. And I said, why? And she said, you're born on the day your grandfather died exactly 1 year later. And that my whole life, I went through my whole life not knowing any of that. And I am half Black. My mother's blonde hair, blue eyes. My father's from Trinidad. And there's really a big importance there because I do have a gift and I do have something to share with the world and something to change because I'm coming from a man who tormented people, my mother being one of them. He was very abusive to her. And, on top of it, I'm born on the day he died exactly 1 year later. And I don't know much about those type of things, but I know birthdays and death days and reincarnation type stuff is very relevant. And I plan on learning more about it. I never wanted to look into it because the things I've heard of him just from my mom, because no one else will speak bad of this man in my family. And I've cut off a lot of my family well before any of this, before finding this out. It's really interesting. It's just really interesting. And I always look back at that now when I find I have this ability to help people. And for some of you, hello, it's a big step, right? For some of you, you'll know when you talk to me, I do have something, and it's not me. I don't take any credit for it because I don't even know. All I do is I share what I either feel or what I've experienced. And I've come through so much. I mean, I've been diagnosed with a very severe illness that I don't have. And when the doctor told me, I knew it. I knew it was a lie. And I don't know if he meant to lie or if he was just following the book, because what had happened after that was a series of very fishy behavior that I didn't fall for, as in like the doctor volunteering me without my permission for research, which of course it would have came out that they found a cure because I didn't have what they said I had. And yes, I had an illness and I healed myself by first of all ignoring it, and second of all looking into what I was doing in my life to cause all that. And I'll tell you, I think most illnesses, like at least in my case, because I'm so sensitive, come from heartache. And most of my life, it was like series after series of heartache that I put myself through. So there's been people that I speak to that I don't know, and they'll open up to me, and I'm always that concrete wall. Like, you're not going to get sympathy from me. Don't even think about it, And I just change their whole mindset. And I'll tell them, I think I sometimes share my personal story, but I don't get into detail. I just tell them you have to change what you're believing. And I remember after the doctors said I had this issue, I left the hospital. First time I met the doctor, he told me after looking at my chart, this doctor I never met, a specialist, said I had this issue, and I knew it wasn't me. And I walked out the door, and there was a girl just like me in a wheelchair coming in, my age too. This is over 10 years ago. And I knew it wasn't me. And luckily back then, this is almost 15 years ago, actually, I was around very spiritual people I grew up with. We didn't have money. I was very poor back then. Like, technically, I didn't really know that, but I was. And when I went to their house and I told them, and we were always a big group of us in this home, and I told them, and they said, Jen, they put on Abraham Hicks. That's the first time I saw Abraham Hicks. And it was a video about same-sex marriages. And I'm straight. I have my divine masculine, and I've always been straight. But I related to everything she said, and she was talking to this girl about, why do you have to be married? Why do you have to have this piece of paper? Like, why don't you just do what feels right for you? And everything she said. And then from that point on, for the next few years, because I was trying to cure myself or to figure out what the issue was, I watched Abraham Hicks probably over 8 hours a day. It was just all day. In the meanwhile, in my head, I was replaying what the doctor said over and over. And my friends were telling me, Jen, erase it from your head and like do it as soon as possible before it takes over. And I've used that power that I learned from, because I did get rid of what my issues were. And maybe I still have stuff that's wrong with me, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not scared about it. Things do come and go in your body. And I swear it comes from, for me, it comes from heartache. For me, it's my most sensitive spot. And I've told you guys recently, like if you look at my baby photos, which I've asked my mom to bring me, she collected photos our whole life. And a lot of my photos, I'm always just sitting there like this. If you see me walking down the street, a lot of times you see me walking like this. I don't know why, but my heart has always been like this very huge energy. And so as I was saying, though, there's been people I've met that have been diagnosed with issues. Now, I'm just going to think of one specific one. I met this man for the first time once. My cousin brought me to a party, and it was at a restaurant. And it was a bunch of realtors. This is when I was in real estate. I helped a lot of people during my time in real estate. And I just met him, and I wasn't a successful realtor. I was really good at reading contracts. That's when I met my best friend. I wish I had a picture of him. He passed away. I have a picture. I'll show it one day. And I talked to this man, and he said, "Can I tell you something I've never told anyone?" And he's like, "Today I found out I have prostate cancer," or whatever he said, something like this, right? And I don't know what I said to him, but I'm like, I just gave my advice. Like, don't listen to the doctors. Go find a natural cure. Go look into other ways. And the next time I saw him, I think he had some sort of surgery, but he was better. And he just thanked me so much for what I had shared with him. And I've had a series of things like that happen. And for some reason, I don't even know how I know what advice to give to people. And I've never been repaid in any way for my advice, because it's not even, and that's fine. But it's interesting because they're always like, "I owe you so much. I owe you so much." And I'm just so happy that what I said worked, or helped at least. But yeah, so back to my regular point, I get all over the place like that, is that I think a lot of people have gifts and you may not know it. And hurt, I see that someone said they're so hurt. Like, I used to be so hurt. I was just in this space. Like, I had so much to learn from. I was so hurt for so long, and I was going after the wrong people. And if someone like hurt me, I technically murdered them. I don't know how to put it in other words, because of the things I would say. I put people, when I was younger, now I'm so aware of this stuff, but I put people in counseling, and like, they probably are terrified to ever see me again. And I don't regret it. It was me. And I'm so sensitive that I don't know if it's a Gemini thing, but if you hurt me, it's like you hurt me so much you don't realize it, that I go to hurt you equally, but you don't realize how much you hurt me. And I've had a lot of weird events like that happen. And then I learned from someone I cared about. And he was one of the first men I really, really, really cared about. And now we're friends. But he told me, like, he got anxiety from me. Like, he started getting full-blown anxiety, shaking, curling up on the ground, crying. When I came around, eventually he had to go to counseling, and he got better. And he faced his own issues. He had his own issues too. And I realized I don't want to be that person. And that was a long time ago. And after him, I just learned when I argued to calm myself down. And, we all have a lot of power. And I don't know if you guys realize that type of stuff. Personally, I don't believe in therapy. And I've given advice for that as well to people. And they're very afraid to leave their therapist or psychologist. I don't believe in repeating, even to tell you my story. I don't prefer that, because I don't live in the past. And I'm a totally different person from the past, but I'm here to share. And this is part of why I'm here in general. And I realize that I don't want to ever repeat the past. And I would never recommend you guys repeating the same story of where you came from. It's about where you're going. But I'm here on this earth for that reason. And I know that because what I say to people helps them. And the only way I can help them is by telling them through my experiences what I've been through. But if I was giving advice, I would say, tell a new story, tell a story you want. Don't be like, this is what I came through. Don't talk, I've had so much happen, and it's part of me helping people. But if I'm giving advice, I tell you, don't do the same thing I do. It's just, that's all. So that's a little bit about myself. And I'm sure the more I'm on here now, and I'm out here and I'm bearing it all, the more that will come out. And I've had a lot of miracles in my life. I used to be a car racer, and I would always have these cheap sports cars. But when you race, it's not about the car so much as your balls, like and your route. It was dangerous. I shouldn't have done it. And I don't do that now. But once, and I wasn't racing, I was almost at my home, and my car, I didn't drink or anything. I came from work, and my friend went a different route than me in her car, and I took my regular route home. And next thing you know, my car was just like wobbling, and I heard this voice, and it just said, relax, relax, relax. And so I sat back, and my car went out of control. I took out 3 poles. I came out of my car. I don't remember any of this, but I remember them lifting the car. So I was thrown out of my car. I remember, even though the car was so crushed, that I don't understand how I got out of it, because there was no, the window wasn't down. I don't understand what happened there, but I was under my car, and I opened my eyes, and I was flat under my car. And the first thing I did was wiggle my toes and my feet. And this lady was there was a lot of people there, no ambulance at this time just yet, because it just happened. This lady was standing over me saying, we called the ambulance. And I said, because it was crushing me, and I don't have kids or anything. And that's been a huge thing that I want in life. I want a child. I want one successful full birth. I want to give birth to a child. And who knows, because I have twins run in my family, and I always feel like I'd have twins, and I'm a Gemini, so that would be a dream. And I said, you have to lift the car off of me now. And they this man came over, and I said, you have to lift the car off of me. I don't have kids, it's crushing me. And they're not supposed to move the car. But luckily these people did it. And I came out of the car. I was fine, nothing broken. And I remember thinking I was like a god, and that only lasted for a couple days. I felt like a goddess, or oh my gosh, I'm invisible. And then that wore off, and that started a big journey in my life, because for that year I didn't work. Where I was working at the time, I made cash, and I didn't realize you're better off telling the insurance you're not working than telling them you make cash. Even though my boss, it was all I would claim my taxes. I hadn't worked there that long yet. My boss had even said, I'll tell them what you made, and I'll agree. And they're like, no. So I didn't work for that year. It was really, even though it brought me down into some of the deepest depression. And this is before the dark night of the soul. This is actually how I met or re-met my business partner, who's just my best friend ever. And he doesn't visit me. He's gone. And he's the one person, I get visits from people, and he's the one person I want to speak to, and he doesn't speak to me. One time on his birthday, when I was with my false twin, he hung up the phone on my false twin. And I know that because I was sleeping. And I woke up and saw that, I had a call that I had answered, and I didn't answer it. And I was calling my false twin. I'm like, where are you? What are you doing? He's like, I called and you answered and you didn't say anything. And I knew right away. I'm like, Josh, because that's just how Josh was. And these are the type of things that happen all throughout my life. And it was just, and one thing I'll tell you guys, be careful what you say. Be careful what you want. I had to learn a lot of lessons like that. I went through most of my life without losing anyone. And then as I got older, and these people are not older, like people in my life, it's like they got taken away because, for example, I wanted, and I got lessons through it. I remember once I wanted to be with someone so bad. I don't know what I was thinking. He wasn't even my type, but I thought we had such a connection. And he had a wife. And so I was like, no way. So I didn't even like think about it. But in my heart, I really like this person. And I remember I bumped into him once and we opened up. She's like, I really like you. And I'm like, I like you too, but I would never do anything with you. You're like with, whoever. And I'm like, it's just the way it is. But in my mind, I was like, I wish that she wasn't there. And unfortunately, shortly after, she passed away for no reason. Like there was a reason, but she wasn't supposed to be gone. And me and this person, we never ended up doing anything. When I got to know him, he wasn't for me at all. And there's like little things like that. Even this other guy I liked, and he was younger than me, but he was in love with me. And he was such a gentleman. I was like, that's it. I'm just going to stay with this guy forever. Why not? Right? Because at least I know I'm taken care of, and I actually like him, and he's a gentleman, and he was taken randomly too. So I learned, don't be greedy and don't want things that aren't meant for you, because it's not like they go. I don't believe that, I believe it's our own world, and I think differently than most people. So I believe like everyone's here it's for us. When they go, they're just going to another spot type of thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's just the way it is. And it's just all lessons. It really is. There's so many lessons here. Yeah, not easy, but times when you have individuals like you to open up about, and that's what I'm learning. And I get your feedback from you guys. And a lot of the times you tell me, just talking to me helps you, just talking to me. And I get it. I have someone like that in my life, my mentor, who, when I first met, this was during the dark night of the soul time, he took me on for free and he would teach me and he helped me accumulate some money. But at the time, I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to do it on my own. It was like beginner's luck type of an energy. And I never gave him anything in return. And it stayed on my mind for like 5 years or however long it was, until recently, when now, I've started my business. I'm on YouTube, but I have my own business. I make healing skin cream, and I've made that since I was 20 because I was allergic to everything. And I knew I was going to make a post one day about people and how they have to invest in themselves. And sometimes getting a mentor is the best thing you can ever do. And I'm like, I can't post that, because he was on my Instagram. I'm like, I can't post that. I need to just call him. And I called him and I said, I want to do work with you again. And he said, why are you calling me? And me. And I'm like, because you helped me. And I've always thought about the fact that I never repaid you in any way, even though you didn't ask for anything. I did make a big chunk of money at that time, and I lost it all like that. It's not that I lost it all like that. It's that I was so broke. I wasn't prepared on how to handle it. And there is stages, and he taught me about those stages back then. But I wasn't ready for it. And the price now, because now he's an expert, right? And his price is really high. And right away, I knew I have no choice. He had helped me before. And it's not that I had no choice. Of course I could have. But then that would just be doubting my ability. And that's what happens. Why can't you pay for help for helping yourself? Do you believe in yourself? And that's a huge thing that we all have to work on, is believing in ourselves and our ability. And yeah, I've been working with him. My last class is coming up, and I'm going to take a little break, and then I'm going to keep him in my life forever. Because, his voice is the voice that I have for other people. He has that voice for me, where when we talk, something clicks, and it's very teacher-student. There's no no one says let's go work out together, let's go drink or anything like that. It's very teacher-student. And I'll say things to him, and he's very he can smile and laugh sometimes, but he's just he doesn't really go too far up or too far down. it's really interesting to see. And sometimes I'll say things to him and he's like, no, that's ridiculous. He's like, why are you mad at that? He's like, who cares? Stuff like that. And it's true. So he's changed he's shifted so much. He's shifted me so much. The first thing we had to deal with was parent issues that I didn't really know I had. But I kind of was hating on my mom for a very long time and loving my dad. But when we did the work, I realized that a lot of things I blamed my mom for were actually caused by my dad, and not to be mad at my dad or my mother. Just to be like, oh, like my mom, I'm a part of my mom, first of all. And another thing I realized is I'm a way bigger part of her than I knew. And she's always told me I'm very special. And I know she has things to tell me that she doesn't tell me. And maybe I'll ask her for that. But I'm the type of person, I also believe in finding things out from within. And sorry, I'm just kind of reading back and forth. But it also goes back to, I'll give you an example, an honest example. I once tried, twice, I've tried DMT. And the first time I tried it, I knew nothing about it, except that it was supposed to bring you this enlightenment. And I went to different worlds, and I went to 2 different worlds. And from what I hear, that's not a normal experience. But remember, I knew nothing about it. So months later, I'm so excited to try it again. And my friend, in the meantime, had said to me, you have to read this or I'm not going to give it to you. You have to respect this. You have to know about it. So I did all this research on it. And it was one of the worst things I did because I had no effect, next to no effect. And the message I got is like, no, like you've hit the plateau. And so after that, I never had interest to do it again. But I'll never forget the experience I had the first time. It was the most incredible experience. I traveled and I remember just screaming out, like, I'm in China. Like I was in China, but it was ancient China. It was really interesting. So that's why sometimes I don't ever have to do that again because I already got the message. I got what I was supposed to get from that and I've experienced it. And it's not fun to me unless I would go to, and learn something. I'm not there to just sit there and do nothing with that. But that's why I don't really always research things because I want to get my own opinion on them and I want to get my own knowledge from within. So sometimes it seems hard. But yeah, I'm happy you guys are chatting. I don't know exactly. I'm not keeping up with it. I'm just trying to introduce myself fully to you guys and open up. And from now on, I plan on coming in here and showing my face and just fully opening up to you guys. That's that pretty much. So I don't even know if I should be pulling cards or what. I cleaned all the cards. I had this all planned. I went to work today. I work every Saturday. This was part of me coming out. I'll tell you, when I went through the dark night of the soul and all of that, those journeys, those dark ones, I couldn't get a job and I couldn't get work. I couldn't get anything for so long. And I would apply everywhere. And even I would have like connections and I still didn't get the job. It was so messed up. And then one day I went to a concert, a Bush concert. And my friend who brought me, because I couldn't afford a ticket back then, she was actually a huge help to me. And she's exited my life. It's so interesting how I've had people come in when I need help and then they leave. And I helped her as well in my own way. And she was very grateful for that too. But, she knew someone walking by and she talked to her. And I had this brilliant idea because they had no chips there. They had no regular stuff to snack on. And I was starving. And I said to her, even though I didn't have $20 to spend on a bag of chips, I'm like, would someone be like me to sell chips here? Because I would pay $20 for a bag of chips right now. And she said, are you looking for a job? And I said, yeah, I am. And so next thing you know, I had this interview, and this is the most beautiful place to ever work at. And I get the freedom if I need to travel or go, and I still will always have my job, especially because I am reliable. They can count on me. When I'm there, I do my job, and I'm personable, Anyhow, she got me an interview, and I thought I would end up being a bartender or something, which is my worst nightmare. I don't want to wear high heels. especially until 4 in the morning. I don't want to have to dress up. I can wear this to work, and, you know, I can wear flats. I can wear whatever I want. All I have to do is walk VIP clients to their booth and just hang out and enjoy this show. At the time I didn't know. So I met with the boss, or yeah, it was the boss. He's not the owner. It's like a huge, huge club. And he said, like, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, bartending. Cause that's what I thought, you know, that's what I would have to get, that job. And he asked me how to make like drinks. I don't even drink, right? So I'm like, oh, like da 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 da. Like, I don't know. And he looked at me and he's like, you're not a bartender. And I'm like, you're right. And he's like, how much do you want to make a night? So I told him like my minimum. And he's like, okay. And he just like, he left it at that and he walked out. And he's like very busy, I guess. At the time, I'm like, oh, fuck, I failed. Like, he's not going to, you know, he just walked off on me. Like, at first I was following him. I thought I'm supposed to follow him. And like, he was going to do his own thing. That was the end of the interview. And next thing you know, I get this call back, and you start on your birthday. I started on my birthday, June 10th. And yeah, and it was, for the first year, I never missed one single day ever. I was just like, even for like the first year and a half, I was just like honor roll worker there. And I appreciate that so much. And the fact that I get to go out, because I'm not a club person, and that gets me out into that environment of, you know, freedom and watching other people just enjoy this stuff that I personally don't enjoy in that level. But for the, you know, for every night I'm there, like in my own way, I enjoy it. I'm not dancing or anything, but I'm like, you know, enjoying it. And we put on shows there that are so fabulous. We have artists come in all the time that are so big, that I would never go to see, like Cardi B or Nelly, or like, you know, these people, like I would never go to see them, but they come to me and I get to experience that stuff. And that's just an example of how being honest and sticking it out. Oh gosh, how do they know? It's so weird how they know. Like, they literally told me like that guy's there to like, oh, here's another one. Cool. Anyhow, I do have haters on here, and I've learned that, you know, that one day when they ambushed me, but I kind of appreciate it a little now. I can't even help it. It's like, I've had haters, but not like that. Not like that. I've never been on a public platform to have those type of haters. But yeah, growing up, I dealt with racism. There was a period in my life, I lived in a very small town, which I quickly moved out of. But, you know, at my school, there was two colored people, and the guy, I didn't know him. He didn't talk to me. He was popular. I never understood that. He was an athlete. And he never, I don't know. He never seemed to get like racist remarks. But me, like everywhere I went, I was hearing like people walking behind me saying stuff, or if they're walking in front of me saying stuff. And it's weird because it's like I was very innocent. Even though I was in grade 7-ish, I was just like, why would they like say that? I never went home and cried about it. I probably cried about it the older I got, because I'm like, why are people so rude? But back then I was just like that's kind of a stupid joke. Like, why are they saying that stuff? Like, what's so funny about that? And then remember, for those of you that know me, I've told you, jokes fly right over my head. I do not know the joke until like 5-10 minutes later. And then I laugh hysterically to the point where it's stupid. And I'm like, I can't stop myself from laughing, and it's not even that funny. But yeah, so that's the type of haters I had in my life. And it's okay. It's okay, you know? Yeah, it's a little, I told you guys before, I don't know where they are. One day I'll find them. Maybe my dad, because I asked my dad to drop off some cases of books and photo albums I have as well. That runs in my blood. My mom collected photos. I collect photos. But I had these books I bought, and they're like antique little books. I think I got them at the market, and they're like how to tell a joke, or how to like, and they had different categories, the books, because I had about 3 of them. And then I would read them and practice how to tell jokes. And I still didn't know. So anyhow, let's pull a card for us. That's enough talking about me. I can't wait to do the videos for next week. I'm going to change my schedule up a little bit because I just want to start getting a little more consistent on here with what I do. So no, you can't see my body. It's completely unnecessary. But I did start working out and I'm really proud of it. In fact, I don't know. I used to be very athletic, and part of like this whole dark night of the soul stuff, when that was all happening, there was a time when I had to literally escape from a bad situation, not with a boyfriend or anything like that, but with someone that I was taking care of someone's child. And it became it was a bad situation and I had to leave. We all had to leave because we were in a little bit of danger, and I had to go to the middle of nowhere. And I am not a country girl, and it brought me totally out of my element. This is when I actually started the YouTube channel a little while after, and I stopped working out. And that's something I will always never suggest. Don't ever stop working out. Because health issues did come back up eventually down the line. Not then, but eventually. And then I had to go and fix those and counteract, the damage I did by not circulating my blood. And it was so cold out there, and I was in the middle of nowhere. There was nowhere for me to go, and I didn't want to go jogging, and I didn't want to go in the jog on the highway type of a thing. So that was for 8 months of my life. And then, but what I did do is I made the best of it. And that's when I went back to school at the city where the city is. I say city council. I don't know why I said that, but I went through the city and I ended up getting a grant and for my business. And that was one of the first CBD. That was the first CBD grant they gave me. Very soon for some of you. Let me just stop here for a second. But that was one of the first, well, it was the first grant they ever gave out for CBD. And it wasn't even really they're like, is this legal? And I'm like, yes, it's legal. And they still won't buy, my teacher still won't buy it from me until it's fully legalized everywhere. But they helped me, and they helped me go after my dreams. And even though I had always made cream, it was so beautiful to see that, they believed in me. And from that point on, I don't even know how I moved to the city. Oh, it's all this weird, all these weird events happened. What happened is this girl was moving out of her place, and she was going to leave on the 10th, my birthday of June. And she had this beautiful couch, and she wanted $500 for it. And she's like, give me $500 and you can have the place for the rest of the month too. And so that was my way back into the city. And it just all a series of random events that happened that brought me back home to where I belong in my city. And I never gave up, and I started doing markets, and I started just doing what I love. And at that time I had already started the channel, which was a huge help. So thank you all, because you've been a part of my growth. And the lovely thing is I don't know how else I would have done it, to be honest. It was just all meant to be. And when I think about it, I'm like, wow, I have done tarot cards since I was a kid. And I kind of used to run away from it. And sometimes I would even, not sometimes, once, I even threw out all my tarot cards, except for this one deck that was my first deck I spent $50 on or something. It's a huge deal for me. $50 was equivalent to rent at that time. And I was like, no, screw tarot cards. But when I was alone in the country, I got into it again. And I would play with my friends that lived in the house with me, her and her mom, who were so close. And I got to see how beautiful the relationship with a mother can be. And I came to the realization I'm so good. I don't know who it is. I don't know who's saying it. And honestly, I don't. Okay, I guess you guys kind of want me to erase someone. I personally don't even care, to be honest, anymore. These things, after I learned so much from that first time, I think I've blocked him if it's this P guy or something like that. And otherwise, guys, all you have to do is not even pay attention. I mean, I guess maybe you guys are talking to each other, so I'm really sorry about that. Okay, let me guess, maybe this one too. Like, I see it's not even phasing me. And I love that I'm in this spot now that I'll tell you, when they first did it, it really hurt me. It hurt me that people would come on my channel and say those things. And that's why when some people talk about other readers on YouTube, I just say, you know, people talked about me bad like that too. And I just don't want to feed into any of that. P splash. Okay, I think I've blocked P now. And, you know, maybe one day I'll make some of you moderators and all of that, because I see all the other readers. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the first time they came in crowds of 50. And I'll tell you, I know that because I saw the amount of dislikes. And because if you were here that day, and it was shocking to me, they took over. And I looked up one of the names that they said sent them. And I don't remember the name. Is that I don't know about him either. I'm sorry. Like, you can watch my channel, but I just hide your comments. I looked up one of the people they were saying sent them. I looked up two of them, actually, Kalani or something and Benjamin something, and they were supremacist people. And, you know, I don't know. It doesn't surprise me. And the more I look back at it, I'm like, wow, like, trust me, this is nothing new to me. I probably went through this for lifetimes. My gift, you know, it's not my power, it's a gift. I'm sure I've been burned at the stake for it, you know, and I'm guessing that it's just me having a lot of lessons to learn over and over again. And and now they don't even touch me. And it just took that one time for me to realize there's nothing to be afraid of. There's evil people in the world, and it's something I'm gonna have to deal with. So, okay, let's do this. Let's like pull some cards here. And tomorrow I'll do some more readings and stuff. I hope everyone's doing good up there now. Let's see what's going on. Okay, very soon you deserve love. You are lovable. I always, when that card comes out, it always just makes me think of saying the affirmation, I am lovable. I'm born and raised in Toronto. So remember here, this is an example of the affirmations I have all around my house. I'm just going to show you part of it because I don't want to share every single thing I do for affirmations, but I just make designs with them because I like to be creative sometimes and I get bored with that. But yeah, no, I'm born in Toronto. I lived in Philadelphia for a little bit with a boyfriend. Florida, I've also lived in for a bit with a friend of the family who I no longer am in contact with. Had a really interesting life. Yeah. And when I was in Philadelphia, I had an attempted kidnap on me in a gas station. I've actually had 3 in total attempted kidnappings, 2 in school grounds and 1 in the gas station. And who knows how many other ones I've had. Nope, I don't dab. I quit all of those things. And yeah, it's wow, right? I've had some really weird things. I don't know if they were alien encounters or attempted kidnappings or what they were, but the 2 in the school grounds were very obvious. So watch your kids. And I'll tell you, this is the one that I'll never forget those 3 specifically. This white van pulled up and I wasn't in class, you know, the police, I have police friends too. And yeah, they're awesome. So this is the trick that these kidnappers used, and it almost worked. One person came out the back of a truck parked across from the school, and it was during school hours, but I was freaking walking around because I was like that girl that didn't go to class quite often or was always like, I just had other things to do. And my teachers actually were cool with it because they didn't care at this school. So I'm walking and the van pulls up and let's just say it's a good 25 feet away from me. Like I'm walking on this way and it's pulled up here, okay, over here. And someone comes out of the back of the truck and I didn't even think of it. And he's like, hey, or whatever he said. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm all innocent. And he's like, how do you get to, well, like he started mumbling. So I couldn't hear him. So I started walking. I'm like, what? I'm like, how do you get to where? And he's like, to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, to where? And I'm like walking towards it. And then I just got this vibe and I knew what was going to happen. And I screamed out his license plate and he slammed the door and they drove off. And the other time it was after school hours at a totally different school. where I used to work out with my friends, and I was the first person there. And I think that day, like, not many people were even coming. And at this school, they parked the buses in these lines, like, I don't even know, like, it's just like around the school. Like, it's like almost walking through a maze of buses. And this man was coming towards me, and he had something in his hand. And I'll tell you, I froze. I don't know why. And this is something I think that's natural for some people, or in some cases. Like, you know what's about to happen, and you just freeze. And luckily, someone came around the corner, and the man must have been 1 foot away from me, like taking something out of his hand. And it was something white. I don't know. I don't even know if it was a cloth or if it was like a zapper or what it was. And someone came around the corner, and like it all happened at the same time. Like, the man like went right by me, and I was just like, I knew what was going to happen. It was very, very terrifying. And, you know, when I think, and the schoolyard was empty. So, I mean, I don't feel like he could have carried me anywhere. Who knows? I don't know. He was a shorter man. Yeah, it was, and when in Philadelphia, I didn't freeze. In Philadelphia, 2 people entered the car. I was waiting for someone, and I started screaming and put my hand on the horn, and I started threatening them. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you don't know who you're fucking with. And they looked at each other and ran. And I get it, because I didn't know Philadelphia very well, but Philadelphia is very dangerous. And when the person came back to the car, my boyfriend, and I was freaking out, and he like said something, and all of a sudden, all these people that were just standing around, like, obviously had guns, because he's like, who like just like did this? And they were like all grabbing their guns. It was very weird. And I'm like, okay, just forget it. Let's just go. And that was my kidnapping. But I mean, I've had so many, you know, watch your kids and talk to them, because I've even had times when you cannot poop yourself, and you will be like, bro, that is such a good idea. Poop yourself. I hope my battery doesn't die here. But talk to your kids, because, you know, I was a big explorer back then, and I used to get in people's cars and go to people's houses, thinking I was safe. I didn't know people. I just was, you know, and I'm just lucky. I wasn't safe. I was just lucky. Let me just plug in my computer. I was very free-spirited. Oh, sorry.